do you have any debt right now?
No, I'm debt free.
Wow, you have no debt.
No debt.
Can you share some tips on how you were able to not have any debt at all? And no college debt, right?
No college debt.
And we talked about this. You got into Columbia University.
I did.
Was that part of the plan of like debt free? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. As Lisa mentioned, I did get to Columbia, but Columbia is like $80,000 a semester for tuition.
Yeah.
That's not food and cost
Yeah.
and textbooks. That's tuition, bare minimum.
My name is Lisa. I used to be an engineer working in corporate renewable energy, and now I'm a YouTuber and also a finance nerd. I have on the channel with me today my dear friend Gabs, who I constantly learn from a lot, and I hope that her experiences are going to impact you and some of the people, maybe your friends around you and your family, who's going through a really hard season right now because inflation is real. Tell me, or tell the audience too, like, where are you from, and also like your family background growing up.
Yeah, I'm a second generation native. Woo, we're so rare now.
Yeah, I know.
So rare.
Like,
not a
native.
native.
I know. People know I'm from South Africa.
Yeah.
The accent, yeah.
So second generation native. I'm the youngest of 5.
Mm-hmm.
My parents had 5 kids in 6.5 years, so they were like bunnies. They were like boom, boom, boom. Right now. Yeah. I had a really good childhood. I didn't realize a lot of things until I got older that it wasn't normal. I grew up in extreme poverty, so what that means is, like, for my situation is we spent most of our weekdays and weekends standing in line for food banks, and we go to a lot of different nonprofits and organizations to get school supplies, to get clothes we needed, and just making sure that we had our basic needs met.
Find like the idea of extreme poverty. Is there a category that you have to be in order to be classified as quote unquote extreme poverty?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a scale.
Okay.
We were on like the middle of the end versus like people who lived in motels. So what it means is just extreme poverty is that our basic needs were not met. So we didn't have couldn't afford food every day. So that was one of it. We did have shelter and water, but like clothing, we always had to go to get it donated, or we went to thrift stores. So the extreme part is just basic needs that humans need weren't meant for us.
Got it. Okay. Sounds like you grew up and in a situation where you really were forced to learn about money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how would you say that you've made it work for yourself and your family in terms of spending habits? What are some tips and tricks that you can make the dollar stretch?
Yes, definitely. You can learn to do a lot without and realize buying more in bulk or just making meals at home rather than going like fast food, or just if you get hungry, buying a frozen pizza. Because now with inflation, that's like $8-9 versus when you make food and make big portions amount of food, it costs less, like $4 per meal. So that's one way is like, we like to shop at multiple stores. So we go to King Soopers and Sprouts and Safeway, and we just see what deals are for the week. So sometimes Sprouts has cheaper chicken, so we'll go get chicken there. Or we'll go to King Soopers and check out the marked down meats and then buy that if it's a really good price. So just knowing what's worth price and just cutting out things you don't actually need in your diet, like a lot of junk food you can go without because it's just empty calories and you're not be able to get the nutrition you need. You'd get full on. So just being able to buy like produce and meat and vegetables. But I think the biggest thing is just making big meals. Instead of making it for like 4 people, make it for 8 and have leftovers. So then that way you're not getting burnt out on cooking and you're able to make your dollar stretch more.
Dang, okay. So would you mind disclosing how much you make right now in terms of salary in Denver, Colorado, or Lakewood?
Lakewood, Colorado.
Lakewood, Colorado. How much do you make?
After taxes, it's like $12,000 a year. So breaks down to about under $1,000 a month.
Under $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year. And the hovering estimate of like Denver rent is around like what, $1,600 a month?
Yeah.
How are you making this work in terms of like rent and utilities and car? What are you doing?
Yeah, biggest thing is live at home or live with roommates. Like, it's not worth it to pay $1,600 and be in debt. I have no shame with my family. I live at home and I'm okay with that because it's cheaper rent and it's not worth it. You don't have to rent in the biggest, most expensive place, but also don't rent where it's compromising your safety, especially if it's not a neighborhood you feel safe in where you have to like bolt the doors. What my family does is we buy our own cars. Like, we buy used cars. We've never bought new cars just because having used it's so much cheaper. and we learned how to do the maintenance. And in Colorado, we have a lot of snow. So in the wintertime, I pay for an oil change, but spring and summer, I do them myself because it costs the cost versus paying like $80 to $100 for an oil change. It costs me like $20.
Wow. So living at home has really saved you some bucks, right?
Yes.
Why do you think young people, particularly young people, don't like to live at home? Because I'm hearing a trend, right? There's all the personal finance people are saying, you know, there's no quick, easy money. You gotta like save up for it. And one of the quickest, dirtiest ways to do that is not pay rent and live at home, like bargain with your parents, help them with chores and stuff. What's stopping young people from doing that?
I think it's pride. I pay rent, so I have no shame in saying that because I want to help out. And people get the stigma of like, oh, you're 30 years old living in your parents' basement playing video games. When reality is we can't afford rent. And people have this idea that you have freedom and independence, but you can be free and independent and still live at home.
Right.
It's because they want to have that experience that they feel like they're lacking, but you don't realize you go into so much debt for it.
Yeah, I think if I didn't move to a different continent, I'd still be living at home because dang. Do you have any debt right now?
No, I'm debt free.
Wow, you have no debt.
No debt.
Can you share some tips on how you were able to not have any debt at all? And no college debt, right?
No college debt.
And we talked about this. You got into Columbia University.
I did.
Was that part of the plan of like debt free? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. Debt free, so I'm excited about that.
Woo!
So my college, I went to Red Rocks Community College because it was cheap, and I have no shame in saying that. Because, as Lisa mentioned, I did get to Columbia, but Columbia is like $80,000 a semester for tuition.
Yeah.
That's not food and cost
Yeah.
and textbooks. That's tuition, bare minimum. And I could go to Red Rocks, which was 2 years. It is a little around like $20,000 to get an associate's. So to me, it was a no-brainer. I'd be in so much debt versus like $20,000. So I bought my own car. So we buy used, and I bought that. Flat out paid for it and don't pay car payments because that's just a lot more money.
Yeah.
I think being debt free, I realized a lot of ways to do that is go without stuff. Like a lot of things people don't realize they need, you can go out with. Like, I love coffee. I drink it every day, but I don't go pay for it.
Right.
I buy it at home and I make it myself. So much cheaper than going through like Starbucks.
Yeah.
Cutting out little things like if you like to drink, buy your alcohol when it's on sale, or just buy in bulker if it's cheaper. Don't just like every day, just try to like make it last throughout the week versus like going every night to get it.
Yeah. You worked a lot of jobs, right, while you were in college?
Yeah.
All right. So that's crazy to me because like I quite frankly that I can't comprehend that literally. How many jobs did you work at most, and when was that period? What does that even look like?
Yes. Don't recommend it.
Don't recommend it.
Don't recommend it. Out of high school, transitioning into college, I worked 4 jobs at once. I go to school full time.
Dang.
Sucked. Don't do it. You never sleep. So I started working in high school. I worked as a dishwasher. That was my entry-level job. And then I worked as a cashier, so I did both at the same time. And then when I got into college, I worked both those jobs, and I worked at the school 20 hours a week. And then I worked during the week, and sometimes weekends I was a dog sitter. So just trying to make income where I could. But dog sitting was like very minimum. Like I did like 3 times that semester because I just couldn't do it.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
I would say like the source of income from all those jobs, what do you think in your head? How much did you make like per month from all 3 of those jobs or 4 of those?
Not much.
Oh, dang.
Not much.
Were you able to survive?
Barely. I learned to like, when people joke they only survived on mac and cheese, I used to think they were so rich because I was like, you can afford milk and butter? Ramen's where it's at.
Wow, that's so crazy.
Yeah, so I just learned to like do without a lot of things.
Why do you feel like people have the mentality in America that they have to like work all these jobs, like balance, 5 things at a time? And I know that hustling is a big culture right now, right? Like having your full-time job, which I don't know how to do, working 60 hours at a corporate engineering firm and also then doing a hustle job. Why do you think people have that, to have all these streams of jobs?
I think it's a mindset because people value money.
Yeah.
And they want so much of it, but they don't value like what money can bring for your life. Because they want to like have all this wealth, but they don't realize working towards that, you don't get to enjoy it. So people just want to accumulate more and more. And I think it's just our society's mindset. It's like, you gotta work to the grind, never have a vacation, don't live a life.
Yeah.
Be like on the hamster wheel, which is so true. Even if you work multiple jobs, you don't think because you're not working a corporate job 60 hours a week, but you still have that.
Yeah. I'm seeing a lot of this on social media. Like you just see these thumbnails on YouTube or like go on TikTok and someone's going, oh, make $900 a day and like $300 a week. And I'm going, how do you do that? I'm sitting here working myself to death as an engineer. And then I click on them and they almost always say something like, oh yeah, this is a maximum you'll make after 5 years or something, you know, like why do we have this instantaneous want for money, you know?
Yeah. We want to get rich quick, but we don't realize it takes time to build that.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to ever make like $9,000 a day is if you have stock or you have investments. Like personally, you cannot make $9,000 unless you're working a specific type of job, like engineering. And we just want money because we want more and more because we just don't realize how to live on little. Because we think we need this much to be able to survive and have this fabulous life we all want. But if we realize it doesn't take that much, then our value of money wouldn't be this drive to kill ourselves for it.
Got it. So speaking of money and jobs, you you worked a lot of volunteer jobs because Gabs has a very big heart, and coming out of community college, instead of maybe going to do a job where you could like learn how to do like being a technician or something, you went straight to volunteer job. What was that like? How was the pay for it? What was your finances like? Yeah, what is it like?
So when she means volunteer job, she's talking nonprofit because you pretty much volunteer. I would call it is if you work nonprofit, you're not working for a profit for yourself.
Wow.
You don't make any money. Like it's a great job that fills you, but it's a job that you should do if you have financially you're stable or if you're elderly and more advanced in your career and down the line where you have this ability to do it. Otherwise, volunteer, because if you do this as a job, I would never be able to afford a house doing that.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, I was, as she said, after college, I got this internship and it was paid, so I got really excited. It was like $500 a month that got taxed. $500 got taxed, and it sounded great because I was like, this is a good opportunity. I'm getting out the door. I want to start building my resume. And just realizing it's like, no, like nonprofits can screw you over in the sense because you get $500 a month, but some weeks you're working 35 hours versus some weeks you're working 5.
That's
So it's
crazy.
very like, if you want to make money, don't work nonprofits right away.
Yeah, okay. And would you say that you really try to make it work? Because you still don't have debt right now, no student loans and stuff, but you really made it work for a while, right? Like you were able to survive. Survival strategy other than budgeting. What else? How else did you survive?
I made friends with people who I could go and I did laundry at their house and they would feed me. I think it's also because my mentality is I wanted to live a life. I also took a lot of breaks, and that was me surviving. It's like take that mentality and really focusing on me. A lot of it was just I went through it for so long. It was like a haze. Then when I woke up, I was like, what am I doing with my life? So it really was more just day-to-day survive, and I wasn't seeing big picture.
Dang, that's so crazy. What would you recommend like a high schooler coming out of high school if they're not too sure about university and they're not too sure if they want to get into like the big 5 corporate worlds? What would you suggest them do? Okay, would you suggest a community college?
If you don't know what you want to do, definitely go community college route because it's so much cheaper and you can like explore different classes. No, that's super cliche, but I didn't know I liked psychology till then. But I would go to a trade school. If your mentality, like me, was like, I don't want to be a doctor. I'm not going to school for 8 years. I barely could do 2. Go get a trade. It's 2 years. You get the skills. It's sustainability jobs. A lot of people consider it grunt work, dirty work. But realistically, you have job security that it's going to last. Like, be a garbage man. Like, they make so much. Plumbers make crazy amount. If you're really good, you can make 6 figures.
Wow.
People don't know this because it's like, oh, it's blue collar work. It's not glamorous. But you're sustaining yourself.
Right. Wow. So Gabs, what is your financial goal in the next 5-10 years? And do you have like a financial plan to get yourself there? Because not a lot of people can say that they don't have student loan debt or student loans. That's like a huge accomplishment. And no car payment, right? No car loans either. It's crazy. So do you have a financial goal you want to reach to?
Yeah, I definitely within the next 5 to 10 years want to have a down payment for a house, or
Mhm.
at least 10 years, hopefully have a house. And how I'm going to work towards that is I'm going to go back to school and become a realtor, just because I don't want to be a millionaire. I just want to be able to have a house and have that security. So to me, getting a realtor's license is the great avenue that works for that, because that works with my personality, and I don't have to go to school for like 4+ years.
Yeah.
So I love that part.
Yeah, it's a lot of school. Gray hairs. What is 2 pieces of advice you could share with maybe someone who's just about to come out of high school, or I don't know, still seeking what they want to do and they're not sure about college? What are 2 things financially you can get them?
Number 1, know your worth. Know your worth as a worker, and know how much your equivalent is. Because time is, when people say time is money, it's more you work an hour and you get paid X amount of money. Make sure how much you're working is how much you're worth. And don't be afraid, especially when I was working nonprofits, they expected you to be okay with working a lot more and getting a lot less. And that's why they have salary ranges. But try to go into like the middle or higher that range, and don't be afraid to ask for that. Because if you're confident in yourself as a worker, they'll see that as well, and you'll be able to like work towards your financial goals. And then number 2 is start a Roth IRA as soon as you can. As soon as you can, have your money start working towards you, and just the longer it builds, it'll help more for your retirement.
Got it. Well, thank you so much, Gabs. Thank you for your time. Take care, everyone. If you like this content, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. But other than that, really appreciate you watching. Take care.